Okay, class. So we're going to start out here, excuse me, with lesson 2. And so it's called Into the Unknown. And this is where we really start to go to the next level. We've been building foundation skills so far. And so now we're going to introduce the algebra part of this so that we can move on to our level 3 target. Warming up, we're just going to start thinking about the math. This is on page M323. So go ahead and open up your textbook. And we're just going to warm up. In the school cafeteria, soft pretzels sell for $1.25 each. Determine how much money the cafeteria earns in each situation. So we're just thinking about, how do I figure that out? Well, on Monday, they sold 14 pretzels. So let's think about it. What kind of math would I have to do? I know that each pretzel costs $1.25, and every time they sell a pretzel, we get another $1.25 and another $1.25 and another 14 times. So some of you might be thinking that we could add $1.25 together 14 times. We should also be aware that when we learned how to multiply, we learned that as repeated addition. So let's shorten the work and think about it as $1.25 times 14 pretzels sold. Similarly, on number 2, they sold 35 pretzels. Same process. They still cost $1.25, but instead of multiplying times 14, we're going to multiply times 35 because that's how many pretzels were sold on Wednesday. Stop and see if you can do number 3 by yourself. But before you do that, I want you to think, because I'm going to prep you for what we're doing next. Every day, the number of pretzels sold could change. We're going to be writing an expression using variables or letters that will replace numbers like 14 and 35 with a letter that represents how many pretzels are sold. Then that way, you just plug the number in and solve. That takes us to our next level, reaching our target. So try number 3. Pause the video if you need to, and I'm going to keep going. So as I've been talking about, we're trying to get to our target, okay? Our target is to evaluate or solve algebraic expressions. Those are math problems that have letters or variables in them, okay, for the given variable. That means when I have something that looks like this, 50 minus 3x, and they tell me that instead of the x, I put in a 3, I can plug it in there and solve. Okay, so far we've been building all these foundational skills. We've been learning what the words mean. We're going to keep learning these. Okay, we're going to be learning order, or we learned order of operations. We learned that this dot means multiply on some of our practice. Okay, so we have been working on these foundational skills, and now we're going to continue forward so that we can hit the level 3.0. Okay, so here's our learning goals in the book on page M323. Here's our vocabulary that we're going to be adding. So these are already in the booklet that we've been practicing. So we'll go through these one at a time as we find them in our pages. So, do you speak math? Page M324. This is writing the math. So I want you to think about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, those are what we need to be thinking about. So 14 more than 6. What does more than mean? I can easily see a 14 and a 6, but think about it. What kind of math is more than? Well, I hope you can recognize that that is addition. Let's move on to number 2. Same thing. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. 6 more than 14. Same thing. We're going to add. Okay, go ahead and take a look at the rest of them on this page and see what you can do. Less than. Do we understand that that's subtraction? Think about those words. 13 less. Subtracted from. That means the 30 is going to come first and the 23 will be second because 23 is subtracted from. Okay. Try this one on your own. Raise your hand when you want me to come by and check. Now, I want you to notice that we switched targets right here. These targets are closely related. Some of the words that we're learning in these topics are building foundational skills for several different targets. So we're going to be hitting the level 3.0 in several targets kind of all at once. Okay? So we need to be able to solve things like Matthew sold 10 candy bars for a school fundraiser. Jacqueline sold 7 more. Okay, using Q to represent the number of candy bars Matthew sold, we're going to write algebraic expressions that represent what Jacqueline sold. Okay, so once again, we're building these foundational skills down here. We already learned the order of operations, but we need to practice writing the expressions from words and using variables. Okay, so let's move on and practice those things. First, we have to know what they are. So on page M325, we are writing, what are variables? And see our other vocabulary word on this page? Algebraic expressions. Now you've heard of numeric expressions. That's one of our other words. That's when we're using numbers and math. Algebraic is when we have a variable. A variable is a letter that takes the place of a number. Right here it is, variables, letters. Okay. Pause if you need to finish writing that. We're going to keep moving. Write an algebraic expression to represent the total amount collected for any number of students buying that $1.85 lunch. This is on page M325. So I'm just going to use the letter X. This means I am defining the variable. I'm going to write in words, what does the X stand for? And in this problem, it stands for the number of students buying lunch. Okay. Each lunch costs $1.85. So that's kind of like the pretzel. That means $1.85 multiplied, I'm going to use a dot, by however many students buy the lunch, represented by the letter or variable X, gives me this solution. Now, the next thing that I need to let you know is that when you are multiplying a number times a letter, we can simply write that by smashing them together and just writing the X right after. This is also where it becomes super important that when you want to write multiply, you use the dot or you smash it together, because right now this X no longer means multiply. It is a variable. Now we're going to learn the different parts of algebraic expressions. The first one is the coefficient, a number that is multiplied by a variable. Remember, a variable is a letter. In an algebraic expression is called the coefficient. So in the last one we just wrote with the school lunch, $1.85 times X, the number of lunches that we sell, the coefficient would be the $1.85. It is the number that's being multiplied times the variable. Page M326, let's try the next problem. The cost to rent a skating rink is $215 for a 2-hour party. The cost will be shared equally among all the people who attend the party. For each number of attendees, write a numeric, so we're starting out with numbers, expression to determine how much each person will pay. Okay, now we have to think about addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. If I have a total of $215 and I'm going to split it between 25 attendees, that means I'm going to divide. Other ways you can write this, you can also write it as a fraction. Remember, the fraction bar means division. You're going to see that a lot, so you better get used to it. Pause if you need to. Make sure you have all that written down. Well, same thing, $215, but what if there's 81 attendees? So it's $215 divided by 81. Same math, different number of people coming to the party. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and do C, D, and then I'm going to skip down to E. Actually, I'm going to skip down to D because look what it wants us to do. Algebraic expression to represent how much each person will pay. It is the same math. So I'm going to copy this math down. $215 divided by the 81 attendees. Okay. And I don't know, I'm going to use the letter A, and that's going to equal the attendees. That's the people coming to the party. Okay, so to fix this, I'm going to keep the same math, but all I'm going to do is erase the 81 because I don't know how many people are coming, and I'm replacing it with the variable or the letter A. And that is how you change a numeric expression to an algebraic expression. Number 8, page M327. Now we're going to practice algebraic expressions. The quotient of a number n divided by 7. Quotient means answer to a division problem. Okay, so I know I'm going to divide a number n divided by 7. N divided by 7. I don't know what n is. I don't really care right now. I'm just writing the algebraic expression. 5 more than C. This is just like you were doing in the warm-up. More than means plus, but instead of using another number, I'm just going to use the letter or variable that they give me. M less than 9. So I start out with 9, and I'm subtracting M from that. Now there's several more examples on this page. I want you to give it a try, and then Mrs. Canupp will come by and check your work.